Hello, so it's finally happened. Apparently there's over 60 submissions to the 1922 committee, and a vote of no confidence has been triggered. So Boris is now going to speak to the 1922 committee, to the 1922, to all the backbench MPs this evening at 4 o'clock, and after that, very shortly after that, there will be a secret ballot, and we will find out whether Boris has what Dominic Raab says will be a clear majority and a new mandate to continue as Prime Minister, or he slips below the magical number, and he has to resign, and then there will be a playoff between two or three, eventually two candidates, and we will have a new Prime Minister. Now, I worry about selecting a new Prime Minister from those people who are around the cabinet table and those people who are touted as potential successors to Boris. Most of them, I think, are smeared with the same dirt as their leader. And Boris should by now have been appointing people from the backbenches to take up the positions that have been so badly damaged by the likes of Liz Truss, Priti Patel, Nadine Dorries, and so on, Dominic Raab, Gove, and I think also, frankly, the Chancellor of the Exchequer as well. And I know I'm not popular in saying this, but the Secretary of State for Defence. I think he was on duty when we had the Afghan crisis, and he failed to behave appropriately. It may not have been his fault, but he should have handed in his resignation in the spirit of Lord Carrington. That is a matter of honour. He could have come back later, and I'm sure he would have come back stronger. But now he is tarnished. Now, is it possible that Boris can win the confidence vote and then fail? He's not out of the woods, even if he wins. Mrs. May had a confidence vote against her. She won, and she was out of the party. She was out of number 10 within 6 months of that confidence vote. The confidence vote is a trigger that things are absolutely dire, and a leader should do well to recognise that. Of course, the usual suspects are around. Nadine Dorries is up, saying on Twitter that if he goes now, who will replace him? Of course, she's quite right about that. And then she attacks Jeremy Hunt. Now, Jeremy Hunt is probably one of the few possible candidates who I think could command some sort of unity. He would be a reasonably wet Prime Minister, something in the mould of John Major. But he is not tarnished with as much disaster as Liz Truss, who is constantly cited as one of the main front runners. Liz Truss, the lady who doesn't know geography, who is called bellicose by Sergei Lavrov, who has caused more damage, and who Boris has been sidelining as he does the work in Ukraine himself. So, for example, even this morning, he received a message from Zelensky, and apparently they had a conversation. Zelensky said that they had discussed the situation on the front and confirmed a new enhanced support package. Well, one does half think that support package might have been for Boris as well as for Zelensky. But let's go back to Jeremy Hunt. Nadine Dorries says that Jeremy Hunt was an appalling health secretary, and if we'd followed the advice that Hunt was giving for dealing with COVID, we would have been in an appalling position. It would have been a disaster. Well, not as much, I think, of a disaster as Matt Hancock's flouting of the rules in the broom cupboard or behind the door with Gina Coladangelo. Oh, yes, let's find the pencil sharpener, Gina. Can you help me with this? Well, that I think Matt Hancock's Matt Hancock's dalliance was the beginning of the end. That was the point where the rot sank in. And, from Matt Hancock, it's been a spiral down ever since. And this particular cabinet is enmired in sleaze in a way that John Major could only imagine, and certainly John Major did imagine it. And of course, John Major was nibbling away at Edwina Curry's eggs. But the whole thing is a disaster. And those people who say that Boris should go and make way for Keir Starmer are living in a fool's paradise. If Boris goes, it will not be Keir Starmer who replaces him. This will not trigger a general election, though Boris would be very clever if he did trigger a general election at this moment. But it will not be a general election. I promise that. It will be, I fear it will be a toss-off between Priti Patel and Liz Truss. That is the worst of all possible worlds. Tom Tugendhat, wonderful idea, but I think the Tory faithful will dismiss him as not having enough experience in a cabinet position of importance. That is, in one of the top cabinet roles, Chancellor of the Exchequer, Home Secretary, Foreign Secretary. It leaves a very, very, very small group of people. Sajid Javid is a possibility. That would be an interesting choice, and one that maybe would yield benefit. But Dominic Raab, my heart sinks. My heart sinks, but there we are. We wait to see what happens after 4 o'clock. We wait to see what happens after Boris has addressed the Conservative MPs, and then we wait to see how they have voted. I would have thought by 9 o'clock we will have a result, and that will be very interesting and perhaps a little alarming, but it will not be over then. And don't forget that Boris has still got to go before the committee and explain himself, and explain that he did not mislead Parliament. I think that's going to be equally decisive, and it's possible that the calling the no confidence vote at this moment has played in Boris's favour, because once the no confidence vote has run, there cannot be another one for a year. That's the rule.